Welcome to Between the Rig, a podcast hosted by Pushbox CrossFit. We're all about fitness and bringing you direct opinions wrapped in humor and a touch of, did they really just say that? We aim to help you understand more about coaching, gym ownership, and what it takes to get the most out of your fitness, mindset, and lifestyle, both inside and outside the gym. Let's get into it. All right, what's happening, gang? We are Between the Rig, a podcast hosted by Pushbox CrossFit, and it's been a hot moment, so I figured let's get JD on and just shoot the breeze like we did last time. What's up, JD?
Hey, I just got back from Ohio this morning.
Like, literally?
Literally this morning.
I woke up to a text message from you at like 2:42 a.m.
Yeah.
And I was like, no way does she message me then. But then I forgot time travel exists and you were east of us.
Yeah, so I got off the plane. And then I put my suitcase in my apartment, and then I came here.
Did you travel like this?
Well, I changed.
Oh, okay. I was like, you just really hit the ground running.
No, I changed. But
Wow.
we're pretty much...
I appreciate you doing this.
It's for the love of push. I'll do whatever I can.
And I appreciate that about
Thanks,
you. Thank
man.
you for stepping up.
You're so welcome.
I'll just say it off camera, like I am atrocious with time past a week. And then recently, and this is how you can tell, like, enough time has gone by when like 7 people in the same day who are in all different classes just kind of were like, when's the next episode coming out? I'm like, we just put one out with like Sarah and Adam. And I was like, oh my God, that was so long ago.
Yeah, it was forever ago.
So I had a few ideas about some other stuff and then like scheduling issues. And we traveled. I'm like, it's been like 4 days. And Trish is like, it has not been 4 days. I'm
No.
like, okay, let's do a podcast.
And here we are.
Here we are. My voice is a little hoarse. I think this happens when I do like night classes to morning classes. It's just so much Aidan talk.
Well, I'm here for you.
So I figured let's just do more talking.
Okay.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So what do you want to talk about? Last time we kind of had you just hit me with fun curveball questions. This is still similar to that, but I have a little more idea and a little more prep. And we can completely just say, fuck it halfway through and just forget we're on a podcast and banter back and forth, or we can just kind of see how far down the rabbit hole we want to go.
Yeah.
Are we just do some like lighthearted topics?
Well, my original idea was you texted me and said, let's do a pod.
Yeah.
And then my short...
I think I said podcast. I don't really abbreviate. But
Sorry, I'm young. You're old. It happens. I said mental health, body image, depression, and routine on the pod. So
just casual, lighthearted things?
Just like easy stuff, easy topics.
Cool.
And then and then I was like prepping for it, and it kind of became more of a conversation about body image, relationship with food, relationship with your body, and consistency, and being a CrossFit athlete and dealing with all those things.
Cool.
And so that's kind of what I feel like I'm prepared to talk about, but also not prepared at the same time. So we'll kind of just see what happens. I have questions.
Sometimes the best organic conversations. Yeah. Someone said, they're like, hey, love it. Love what you're doing. You definitely have like kind of like a radio voice. And I was like, what? And then I realized sometimes, like, yeah, it's a little like not scripted. Like we have a general idea, but I like the just natural, just shooting the shit back and forth banter.
Love it.
And like, let's just hope it makes sense. I've actually re-listened to ours a couple of times. And it like absolutely made sense in my head, but I was absolutely also aware if people got lost just based on how
it was like a rabbit hole of circles.
It was so good. It was like question within a question within a question. I was like, I am following.
But we got somewhere. We got
Yes.
somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to start as I went through puberty there, see my voice is already lost. I wanted to start with a little, maybe more of like a game, a fun game.
Okay.
So every morning when I do the Monday and Wednesday classes, there's always a certain kind of ESPN podcast sports thing on by the time I get out and in the car. And I happened to come on to a segment they were doing called like, I think it was like love and hate of the weekend, or like hate it, love it. It was just kind of like, it could be definitely biased towards sports or just like anything in your life. Callers come in, they're like, love that my team won, hated that my other team lost. It could be as simple as that to more like, love that my team won and like hated that I like stubbed my toe in the bed, like whatever.
Okay.
So in the past like 7 to 14 days, what has been like a win or like a fun? Could be a small little victory. Could be major.
Well, I got a new job, so that's exciting.
Is this why you're traveling?
That's why I'm traveling all the time. It's like 50% travel. So I had my first.
That's like half.
It is half.
Wow.
It's really half. So I went on my first trip this week, and it went really well.
Where were you?
Ohio. Yeah.
What part of Ohio?
Columbus and Cleveland.
Columbus is actually...
Wouldn't recommend to a friend, but...
My first softball World Series tournament was in Columbus.
Congrats.
But they have a really beautiful sports complex that's like 40 baseball fields. I'm like...
Whoa.
It's ridiculous.
That's
it's like
insane.
way overwhelming. But it was also pretty cool.
Oh, well, that's cool.
Yeah. And Rogue is in Columbus, Ohio.
Oh. Wow, I didn't know that. That's a really fun fact.
There you go.
I didn't see any there.
Yeah.
Maybe
we
next
actually
time.
have a lot of Ohioans. Ohioites?
Ohioans.
Ohioans?
Cheryl.
Cher Bear. Nathan Braid. We have Mary. Maybe Mare Bear.
Mare Bear? Cher Bear and Mare Bear?
Keep the bears going. Yeah, we have a lot of Ohioans there.
Cool.
But, all right.
So wait, sorry. I would recommend to a friend. Now that I know we have Ohioans.
I hear it's great.
It was actually really, really nice.
I hear a lot of people just absolutely rave about Cleveland.
I heard that too, actually.
Yeah.
Yes.
So everyone go to Ohio.
Everyone go there.
All right. Well, that's congratulations.
Thanks, man.
I know you're working towards that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, now that you asked me, my win, my victory, you haven't been into the gym yet, have you? Since... when did you leave? I mean, you were here for field day.
I was here for field day, but I haven't been in since.
Okay. You're going to see a wall.
That's gone? The gone wall?
What?
Is the wall gone? Or did you build a wall?
Well, it's like a good wall we built.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
We didn't build like a bad wall.
Okay, well, let's hear
about
about
There's a lot of negativity
wall.
about building walls.
Yeah,
this is a positive wall.
Oh.
All people are accepted on this wall.
That's really good.
So we took down the wood panel wall. And David Rhea, shout out. It's actually his birthday today. I don't know when this podcast is coming out, but happy birthday. He is amazing and just heaven sent. And whenever I have like little ideas and projects, I'll like run some ideas by him if it's kind of like logistically out of my brain power. And we spent 12 hours, essentially 10 hours. And then I stayed later to like clean with Trish and set it up, building this wall. So now we have all new wood panel walls underneath, inside the pull-up rig.
Oh, where it was like the plastic wood?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I had no idea what wood you were talking about. Okay, wait, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So now my Lululemons aren't gonna rip anymore. R.I.P. I've lost two.
Yeah. So we took the panels down, and he was like, "Man, you really threw nails at this problem." I was like, "Yeah, I did."
Oh my gosh, I'm excited to see it.
I've never been so turned on by anything besides Trish and this wood wall
and the wall
and
wow.
and probably because of recency bias.
The wood
wall might be up there more.
Wow.
I was like, now I'm concerned.
Big news.
It's huge.
It's really big news.
Because I'm so proud of it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no one fucking touch it.
Nobody do wall walks. Well, we just don't have to do wall walks
anymore.
anymore.
It's absolutely meant to be used. And now I'm like hesitant typing like wall walks.
It's like when you get a new phone and you don't want to drop it. But it's okay. Like in 2 weeks, you'll be like, I'm
whatever,
just gonna throw
anyway, new
this thing across the room.
shoes, new wall.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. What's like a hate or like a low or like a loss?
Well, it's kind of a win. That's also kind of a hate. I put my Whoop back on after like a year of having it off. So that's like a W. But the L is that like I don't like to see my recovery. And it's just like drinking and I wake up in the red and it's just, or I'm even in the yellow. I don't like it. Yeah. So I think it'll be an eventual win, but right now
it feels like an
L.
Yeah, you hit me with a hard, what the fuck happened to your Whoop?
I know, because I bought one and then it came in the mail and then you were wearing one and I was like, what the fuck? Like
that's the only thing I sometimes feel like iffy about is like if not like I started it, but like if I'm doing something or promote something and then I don't, is like something wrong with it? And you're like, did something happen to Whoop?
I was like, why do you hate Whoop?
I was like, no hate.
I'm returning mine.
But it was the same kind of thing. I didn't want that mental distraction for a while, and I'm gonna like probably go back and forth just to kind of like tinker with that mindset.
But I'm traveling now more, so I need to like figure out how to hold myself accountable and
like that's the beauty of a lot of that.
What's your L?
Yeah,
I asked you this time.
This is such an Aidan-ism pet peeve that I'm finding about myself.
Okay.
But I don't think people truly understand how much Trish and I put into cleaning the gym. And when it's clean, it's like we're so proud of it. We so understand it's going to get dirty again. But to see that first dirty thing happen, I just want to like run off a cliff. But it's like, all right, calm down a little bit, right?
Yeah.
But recently, and I apparently need to be very blunt about this, I've been like blocking the garage door with machines. Today I stacked benches on top of benches on top of the red crash pads. I like made a fort, and people still are like, oh, okay. And they'll like try to hurdle over it and go around it. I'm like, hey, remember that thing called a door?
Have you ever explicitly said not to enter through the garage? Because I've never heard that come out of your mouth once, and I always
So I've been
follow
saying
your
it more.
rules.
So like, yeah. So this is more. Okay. So let me add.
PSA: go through the door, guys.
Let me add depth to this. If you park in the parking lot, you get very dusty shoe prints, and it's very noticeable.
True.
People who like ride their bike in or park in the hill don't usually have that because it's just like the concrete right there.
Yeah.
Right. And so it just tracks in a lot of dirt, and there's these very like obvious like human footprints that just always go in and around. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have to mop that later.
Yeah.
And apparently like people just like hate our door, and no matter what.
Well, there's 2 doors.
Yeah, but like we work out and deadlift like hundreds of pounds. We can twist a knob.
No, I get that.
So it's like no one's doing anything wrong. I just find it more hysterical that no matter what's in the way, because no one on the flip side's like, why are you making this difficult? They're like, well, I gotta do what I gotta do to get in the gym.
I didn't pick up on that at all.
This place has only walls and a garage door. There's no other access point.
Well, also, I wear slides in.
Yeah.
And then change into my CrossFit shoes unless we're running.
But if your slides still touch the
But then they're not like
gravel.
Then they're not like tracking in the actual gym. Also, I use the door.
Yeah.
Didn't know we were firebending today. I used the door.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
That's great. That's why you're one of my favorites.
Okay.
Anyway, you want to talk about depression?
Yeah, let's talk about anxiety and eating
Segue.
disorders.
Okay.
Slay.
Let's go into the topics here. Hit me.
Well, my first question's on the lighter side.
Okay.
What is your relationship with your body and your mental? You're spilling all over yourself.
Oh, God.
With your body and your mind right now.
Hopefully we're recording this on camera as well. Oh, we are.
We are.
Cool. No. What's my relationship with my body and my mind?
And your mental health right now.
This is the light question?
In this, yeah. Oh, no.
Is this scaled?
Yes.
Are we going up to RX?
Yeah,
and
we're
fire
going
breather?
up to RX Plus at the end of this.
The overall relationship I have with my body from the image of like, am I fine with it? Am I happy? Yeah.
Yes.
I like it.
Sick.
Yeah.
Happy for you.
Thanks.
It's really good.
I also do think though, whatever version of like your brain that's like, oh, once I get there, fill in the blank, I'll be fill in the blank emotion.
Yeah.
I don't think that's real. So like we'll wake up in the morning, you're a little dehydrated. You're kind of like, oh man, I'm lean. I'm like, good for you, me.
Takes one sip of water.
Yeah. And then you're like, anyway, coffee or water or like eggs, you're like, blah, 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 blah. You're like, what's happening? And it's, so even when I've gotten to certain benchmarks, like I want to be X amount of weight, X amount of body fat percentage, immediately you're like, maybe not. Or maybe now I want this other thing. Or like, what's up with that love handle? Has that always been there? Mm-hmm. Trish, have you been lying to me? I do think things get easier kind of like with age if you have certain kind of habits, routines, and kind of things in your head that you kind of tell yourself repeatedly. So you have enough of that buildup. But yeah, I overall, like I like my body. I also view it through the context of what I want to do with it. And so I don't feel like I'm negatively hindered by any things I have passions for because of it. Mm-hmm. And I think if that wasn't the case, then I'd probably view it differently, not through the lens of like sexy or not, but like, man, this is not what I want to be if I want to do these other things. But I'll say at this point in my life, like it's one of the higher it's been. And like most humans, it's ebb and flow. Yeah. But I'm kind of like, yeah.
Okay, what about your brain?
My brain. As wacky as it is up there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think I'm in a good state in my life overall. Like not a 10. I don't know what that's even like. I think if you're at a 10, then you're thinking like, is there an 11? Am I even on like the right scale? Like what's going on anymore? Yeah, I like it. I think because a while ago, I really was like, you need to be okay staring in front of like the mirror, so to speak, and assess yourself. And I think once you start kind of like truly working on certain things and like owning things and accepting things and like self-forgiving things, you, I think, have a little, I don't know, easier time just kind of doing one step at a time each day. And then each days lead to weeks and months and all that. And all of a sudden now I'm 38. I'm like, oh, I'm pretty happy and content. Right. Still working on shit, of course, but like, yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Okay. Well,
is this all towards me or is this like a back, like how's?
No, I'll say some things, but I'll say some things,
you
but
chime in when you want
I
to.
have like a segue next question.
Keep it flowing.
So same type of question about body image. When was your image of yourself physically at its worst, and why? And what was your relationship with food at the time?
When was it at my worst?
Yeah. And why? And what was your relationship with food at that time?
Okay. It's different for everyone. So like my highs might be different than the highs of yours and all that. So let's just kind of obviously keep that in mind. You know what? Jordan was the owner of the old gym I used to work at, and we had this really weird, funny like it was just like we were doing DEXA scans and all this stuff and competitions food wise at the gym. And he's like, let's do like the first to be jacked at 210. It was like jacked at 210. That's what we called it. And he's north of 210. I'm south of 210. So it's kind of like our own challenge in a different way, which kind of made it fun. So it was like we each had this end goal. We're kind of, quote, competing against each other, but his was loss, mine was to gain. Mm-hmm. Both has its ups and downs. Mm-hmm. It's my frame, I feel like, does not naturally want to support this huge gargantuan amount, right? And his, you could probably argue, like, we can always be a little more, a little less, whatever. But I was like, all right, let's fucking do it. And I got to like 217. Context now, I'm like maybe 201, like 200 to 203, 217. And we did a before and after picture, which if you've never done a before and after picture, they're very like, they're really great in the sense like I can't hide from seeing this.
Yeah.
And like you do your back, but you can never see your back. Mm-hmm. So you kind of like stand there like, and then turn to the side, and you're like, hi, camera. Lighting's always horrible.
Yeah,
right?
Oh, it's never good.
Yeah. You're like, that's on me. And I was like, I did it. I got there. I got past there. It was the biggest I've ever been. I'm like, I'm a fucking unit. And like the unit was more like a keg than a six pack, so to speak.
Yeah.
And there's a moment I was like, I don't like cool that I got here. Mm-hmm. I've always been able to be decent at like seeing riblets and certain things, but like even though like little things, I was like, yeah, I've always kind of had that. I work hard for that. That was like disappearing, and like things were like on top of my boxer lines. Yeah, and I was like, I don't know if my skin should be there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know if this is worth it. And then I tried to do like a muscle up. I'm like, this is noticeably different.
Yeah.
Have you noticed being more in weight is harder to move? And so that was kind of like, I was just eating to get bigger, and I kind of lost sight of just like why I love doing it. And I got sucked into like just like a silly bro competition with a friend at the time.
Yeah.
There's no like big negative things came from it, but it was like now to go through all this other work, just get back to a level that I felt comfortable, like visually, physically, and performance wise.
Yeah.
So that was probably in the time I didn't like how I looked the most.
Yeah.
I'd say probably the most negative with my mindset towards food was the leanest I was.
Yeah.
So it's a real like balance between both.
Were you eating less, or were you like addicted to eating really healthy, or were you like
I went
obsessive?
Hard down, obsessive down the paleo road.
Yeah. I
was like checking oil ingredients of like organic nuts sent from like the Maldives, or I don't, I was like, where's this from? And I think again, I'm like 200 right now.
Yeah.
I think you can see most of my muscles under my skin, and I was 165 then.
Oh my God. And
like see-through.
Yeah, like a skeleton.
Yeah, like parts of my body didn't even have skin. It was just like,
that's crazy.
Here it is. Like,
yeah.
And I was like super obsessed with just like, that's not paleo. I can't go to family functions. We kind of briefly talked about that last time.
Yeah.
I'm not going to eat this. I'm not going to eat that. At the time, you never viewed it as like horribly negative thing, because it wasn't like I didn't feel bad in the moment, because I didn't do like a complete stoppage of certain food. It was just like a gradual thing, because every time you do like the like Omron body fat test, you're like, oh, it's going in the right direction. This must be good, because that's the objective goal I put in my future distance to achieve. Everything must be good because it's doing what I want it to do. And you, of course, hindsight on certain things. And then good muscle ups, I'm like, oh, I'm so good. I was like, who made this barbell heavier? Like, bro, that's just an empty 45-pound barbell. I'm like, I'm withering away. Yeah. So then you tinker back the other direction. But that was kind of earlier on in like my overall personal training, coaching, fitness, like just drinking all the article Kool-Aids about all that stuff when it came out.
I feel like there's so many things in the fitness world or just like the health world. I mean, we're just blasted on social media all the time. My entire TikTok is listening to me but I mean, I don't weigh myself anymore. I like don't have a scale. I like stand the opposite way at the doctor's office. I tell them not to tell them not to print out the piece of paper because I don't want to see it. Because I used to be like obsessed with the scale, and I feel like you as women, like you just want to see the scale go down all the time, but that also doesn't denote health at all. Yeah. But yeah, I haven't used a scale since college, early college, when my eating disorders were, well, my eating disorders were the worst that they've ever been, probably in high school. And then I got a little bit better in college. And then by my sophomore or junior year of college, I was like, I cannot be using the scale anymore.
Did that run parallel to anything that you can remember now in hindsight? Like with, because I think a lot of, as you probably know, a lot of these things aren't necessarily relationships with like broccoli. It's like control issues and other things that kind of rear its head out and comes through in different forms. And this being one of them. Yeah. Did that coincide with any that you feel comfortable talking about? Like school, grades, relationships, parents, sports, pressure, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like
compared to like now,
most former athletes can probably relate to this. I was a swimmer. I was a gymnast. So I was eating all the time, and I was so little and I was so lean. And then I ended my like athletic career as a swimmer. So I've talked about this before on the pod, but I was swimming 3.5 hours, 3 hours a day, 7 days a week, eating like upwards of 3,000 calories a day, not really thinking about it. And then because of an injury, I had to quit. And then you're still eating the same, and your habits are still the same. And so when it all really started, I was a sophomore in high school, and I went from I'm like a number calculator. I'm a calorie calculator still to this day. Yeah. You can show me anything, and I will know how many calories are in it. You can show me any box. You can pull out a piece of meat. You can pull out even like a portion of a specific food that doesn't have the nutrition facts on it, and I can tell you how many calories are in it.
Garbanzo beans.
Literally. Yeah. Actually, maybe not garbanzo beans because I don't eat those. Huzzah. But you win. Yeah. But yeah,
that's my new win of the week.
That's your new high.
Stumping you.
Stumping me. Congrats.
Oh, fucking win. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine. Sophomore year of high school when I stopped swimming, and I went from 114 pounds to like 136 in a very short span of time. I remember, I mean, I have so many vivid memories of going, like, putting on a pair of jeans that I hadn't worn since the school year and them not fitting. And then, I mean, all of that stumbles into not wanting to go to school, not wanting to wear tight clothes. I got to a point in my freshman year of college where I, like, literally didn't leave my dorm except to like go to class, go to the dining hall, and then I would wear like a XXL sweatshirt and like baggy pants.
And that was before that was like seemingly trending.
Before that was like a trendy thing.
That was like
it wasn't
cute.
A
defense mechanism.
It wasn't cute. Yeah, I wouldn't wear going out tops. I wouldn't wear like I wouldn't wear clothes that people could see my body in. I wouldn't wear two pieces, and then that kind of led to I'm not living my life anymore. Like, I'm not living. Like, what can I do to basically get smaller, take up less space? And that's when bulimia started. That's when, because anorexia was something that I had dealt with all through high school. And the throwing up started probably like my senior year of high school, but I was like, it makes you feel really bad. You're like hunched over the toilet, and you lose control of like your bodily fluids and functions, and it's very demeaning. So I couldn't really, and I was also at home, like with my parents, and they could hear it. And so, but then once you get to college, it's like you're alone in your dorm, and there's nobody holding you accountable, and that's when that got really bad. But then at the same time, I was not eating I would not eat for a week straight, and then I would binge for 3 days, and then I would throw up for 2 days, and then I would not eat for another 3 days, and then I would fall back. I mean, it was a combination of anorexia, bulimia, disordered eating, binging and purging, and just food noise, like all the time. I think that I was either thinking about what my body looked like in my clothes, what I was putting in my mouth, or just how long I could go without eating, or when the next time I could get on a treadmill. There was nothing going on in my brain except for thoughts on food and my body, and it was like the most horrible, like, 6-year span of my entire life. Nothing was, like, I just couldn't be a person.
Yeah.
It was terrible. And I know that there's people in the gym that struggle with this too. And so that's why I'm kind of on here talking about it, because...
No, I was going to say, like, beforehand, you just got off the flight. You were like, oh, I'm not even prepared. Like, this is pretty heavy. But, like, I think these are the things that need to be given some space to kind of be normalized and safe and, like, okay to talk about. Like, this is not always just about, like, oh, how much weight did you do? And, like, it's always, like, sunny on this side of the rainbow, because this is a huge factor and just day-to-day function in life, let alone the gym. And so I think, like, I am super impressed and appreciative that you're just like, let's shoot the breeze about this.
I care about it. I care about it so much because it's literally ruined my life and also just, like, made me a lot stronger of a person.
It's always funny how these really, like, bad lows are always the kind of thing that you're like, you never want to go through lows, but somehow, or like, once you're at the low, you only go up or learn from it. So it always ironically has this kind of like, but I'm also, I guess, glad I went through it, because now I'm way happier relative to then. And it's like, I guess I'm glad. It's fucked up. You kind of have to go through those things.
It's super not fun.
Thanks, game of life.
Fuck you, game of life.
Stupid rules, if they exist.
But the funny thing now that I struggle with the most now, no, you can, no, didn't work.
Bottle.
I want to hear your thoughts about, actually, this is just an interesting thing to talk to you about, because, like, you're a man and, like,
thanks.
Like, you're, like, in the gym, like, because men that do CrossFit look different than women that do CrossFit in the grand scheme of what is socially acceptable and what looks good. Like a guy that, like, all guys want to be big and strong and have muscle, and, like, girls are just being it's being shoved down their throat to be thin and to be small and to literally, like, be the littlest they can possibly be, because, like, clothes look better on you, that the clothes that Kylie Jenner's wearing look better on you, you know, the clothes that you see on TikTok. And so the biggest struggle that I have now is I'm very much not, I mean, I still have food noise pretty much every second of every day. We talk about this all the time. I'll still go through phases where, like, I won't eat even though I know that I should, but it's definitely better. It's a million times better now than it ever has been. But the struggle that I still have now is all my friends are so little and they're so small and they look so different in, like, I call it regular clothes, because I can put on a sports bra and Lulus and I can, like, feel great. And I do this, I practice this exercise where, like, I'll go to the gym and I won't even put on I'll go through phases where, like, I only have the confidence to show up in a big tee, and then I will go and I'll only have a sports bra on under my sweatshirt, and I'll be like, I have to go in a sports bra today because
Is it like a mind game?
It's a mind game.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, because I mean, I do therapy and I watch videos of how to, like, combat body image issues, and it's like exposure is, like, one of the biggest things that I try to work on.
It's like a little step by little step at a time.
So I'm like, I'm gonna wear just a bra in the gym. Like, I still don't even wear,
I mean, well,
pants.
Yeah, cool.
And pants.
Yeah.
I don't wear two pieces still to this day.
Appreciate comfort in the gym.
Yeah,
but
not let's not free the
full frontal
let's not
comfort.
free the full. Let's not free the everything.
Free the everything.
But yeah, I don't wear two pieces still because I am uncomfortable doing that, which is so shitty because everyone should feel like they can wear a bikini. It's so horrible. But I lost my... As
a guy, you wish I wasn't here on this podcast.
It's just so interesting to talk to you. It's interesting to talk to you about it because I work so much harder than... That's mean. I feel like CrossFit athletes work so much harder than people that either don't work out at all but are still thinner, or do physique fitness or like hot girl / hot boy fit, where like they're not actually really fit, but they go to the gym harder. And they but they go to the gym and they can like perfectly sculpt their body to look a certain way because they're only working out those specific muscles. And so it's like this girl is like so thin and so cut, but like put her in a CrossFit gym and she's dead in the warm up. Yeah. You know, so it's so difficult to know that I'm working so much harder, but I don't look as good when I'm in jeans and like a boob tube at Pono Ranch on Wednesday night at 10 p.m. You know, it's so frustrating.
Boob tube,
like a tube top,
yeah,
like a boob tube. I don't know.
I'm sold. That's a TV reference to me. What's on the boob tube tonight? Yeah, so you're frozen with like confusion right now.
I have no idea. Yeah,
that's a television.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, welcome to my generation.
Welcome to your old ass generation.
Yeah. I have a Werther's original in my pocket, by the way. Candy, if you want. That's how old I am.
Please.
Yeah. Do you even understand that reference?
I know what Werther's are. My grandma had those.
Okay, exactly. Yeah, I love this. There's a lot to unpack. Let's do it.
Let's unpack.
So, wait, was there a question within there?
The question was, I mean, I guess it was just more of a comment.
Okay, so I've said this multiple times.
But I want your response on the comment.
My ex before Trish was a IFBB pro professional bodybuilder. I was there through all of her competitions. I was in Vegas when she got the award on stage, medals. Oh my gosh, you get your card. You now get like, it's when you get your IFBB pro, you now get to compete at like the Olympias and the Arnolds and all that at the highest levels. It's the people you always see like the magazines, right? Mm-hmm. But the behind the scenes on that is, I don't really wish on anyone. In one regard, it's some of the most impressive discipline. Just as an appreciation of knowing how easily people and humans are just swayed by feelings every day. The discipline of like a bodybuilder is like, wow, you're showing up, you're doing it. You have your gallon of water in your jug. You know what I mean? You have your 38.5-minute prescribed stair step. You're just going through the routine. I was like, but it's a pretty lonely thing. And by pretty, I mean very. It's very isolated. You're by yourself. That's why I always see these like little TikTok, Instagram reels of someone like striking a pose, but they're always kind of by themselves, these big headphones. It's kind of a lonely thing, and they're going for it. But like the art of that is not trying to be judged on performance; it's judged on aesthetic. And so they're task driven by doing the things in order to simply chisel and show and pop and whatever certain parts of the body. Like you said, put them in a warm up and like they're done for. But they may not care about that, and we do care about that. So I think some of it's always like, what is your why behind there? Again, like you kind of I think referenced to earlier, like small, like I think we always default, and a lot of it is true. When you are excessively overweight and have all these potential higher risks of medical issues, it doesn't mean smaller is always better and healthier, right? There's the other end of the spectrum. Like your friends, I guess your perspective, look good in boob tubes at the Poncho Ranch on Wednesday. The Poncho what?
Pono Ranch. You've never been. It's okay.
I've never been, but like, and I know you love your friends this, but are they probably like weak as shit?
Well, yeah. I mean, they're not as strong as I am, but
yeah, they can't do the things you can do.
They can't, and that's just something that's so difficult as a girl to grapple with. Like, I always say to my friends all the time, I would way rather feel strong and capable than look like how society says that women should look in order to be like beautiful and valued. Yeah. But it's definitely really, really hard.
For sure.
To have that. It's definitely hard to remember that every day.
Well, I don't know if this will make sense. Maybe I'm stretching to have this be a comparison. I mentioned to the 4:30 class, I was scrolling, as one does, and I saw this crazy thing. It was like this doctor in Australia and this like study team was showing that babies at a young age don't recognize, pretty much there's like 4 babies in this room with 3 like anaconda snakes and like 4 yellow toy trucks and like play cubes. And they were just touching the snake, putting their mouth on it, and the parents were behind the scene. And they're like freaking out, like my baby's going to be eaten by a snake. And the therapist was kind of just like, when children are small, they're unaware of all this. So what they're really good at is essentially if they're in a situation They don't know what is anything. So they'll look into the eyes of their caregiver. It's like mom or dad or whomever. And if mom's like, ah, and like eyes shoot up and they're freaking out, then that alerts them like, oh, I should panic. So they remove these parents and they were just like playing with snakes. Now, I should say the snakes were trained. This was a whole like a setup study with very intentional guidelines and purposes. These snakes were not like eating children. All that to be said, like, you don't know about these potential issues we're going to face when we're children. But I'm always curious, like, if certain stigmas weren't around, would we even have these thoughts, right? If we weren't told, like, hey, women via society, you should look blah, blah, blah. Hey, man, you should be able to, like, fight a pack of gorillas if they came after, like, your family, because that's what a man, like, I think we all have these things, which is probably why guys always want to be, like, super beef-caked up, and you're always told women you should look certain things, there should be a thigh gap, whatever it is. I think finally we're getting just even exposure to women's sports and how Laura Horvath is just kind of like, yeah, I'm me and I'm fucking the best in the world, and like, like own it. And like, I think there's a lot more positivity around that. I even told Luna I was coming on to do this with you, and I asked her some of these questions you sent me because, you know, my daughter's 15 years old. Like the peak of
Luna, you're doing so good, and it gets easier, I promise.
like the peak of this could go off the rails at any moment, right? 15-year-old high school girl, like, oh my gosh, every day I'm just waiting for like a bomb to drop. And she's amazing. I love her to death, and she's crushing it. But there's very real stuff you go through. And I kind of asked her about, like, 'cause she's a volleyball player, and she'll, you know, everyone, but I think especially at that age of everyone, especially probably girls, will always, you know, make reference and notice of body now. And it's funny how, like, that was never a topic in our house of conversation. Now it's like, I want a gym membership and this and that. And she's like, yeah, but I think it's really cool that people seem to be appreciating more like strong looking women.
Yeah.
And I was really, it made me happy to hear that, like, she at least hears that somewhere. Like, it's so cool. Like, you can jump so high, or that girl can like hit that ball so far, or like her teammates' legs are so strong and like lifts with like the boys just as much. And like, it's seemingly a lot more accepted. Like, even Trish today was like, God, I see pictures of myself right before we started dating, right when we first started dating. That's when she was kind of getting into like CrossFit. She's like, I was a fucking twig.
Yeah.
Her words, not mine.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she said it in a way that she was like, ugh.
Yeah.
Where I think a lot of the times it's the opposite. It's like, oh, you're getting strong. You're seeing abs. You have delts and shoulders and traps. That's but now it seems to be a lot more like, no, that's what I'm striving for. Like, I want to know I'm fucking capable and I can do all this amazing shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, think about it this way. If you cannot do a pull-up or cannot do anything physically, and now you've trained for X amount of time and now you can, physiologically, something's probably going to change.
Yeah.
To do now a pull-up, something on your back and your arms have probably changed a lot. And this kind of like went back off a little bit of topic in the last podcast, is like, you can't out-train bad habits and stress in life and food though. So I still think, along with certain genetic dispositions, like, if you're training really hard and you're like, this is not working, this is not fair, we always ask people to like look at the other things in your life. They absolutely play a factor. And so like, you're traveling a lot.
Yeah. Right.
And like, I think anytime that any of us are kind of dealing with certain sleep, stress, food, mental things, like this plays a part, you know. But I think a lot of it is, like you said, like, it's a slight exposure, it's step by step. And it's reshifting the narrative as best as we humanly can in the moment. Like the first times you got certain PRs or certain skills in the gym, do you remember like that joyous high?
Yeah.
It's an amazing feeling. We had Bakayo this morning hit 7 double-unders in a row, and I've never seen her smile so big in my life, and like melted my heart.
Yeah.
And I'm like, isn't that cooler, knowing you can actually do something like that's like a tangible thing? Like, I did that. I can feel that weight in my hand.
Yeah.
I bet if you got that riblet that you don't have, you would still find something to be frustrated about.
Yeah, I think it's all just a mindset shift too, because it's so easy in the gym when you get a specific skill or you do really well on a specific workout to be really excited about it and be happy. And it's easy when you're in the gym around your community, around your people, to be like, I love that my body can do this no matter what it looks like. But then that's an hour of your day. And like, that's an hour of my day. So personally, every day I still struggle with what I look like outside of the gym. And I love CrossFit. I will never stop doing CrossFit. I will never ever I won't ever do anything else. But sometimes it's really frustrating to feel that feeling of I'm working so hard and I don't have the body that I want, or I'm working so hard and I'm not attaining the physique that I want, even though.
Do you think you'd know it if you got there?
Because
people can always rain compliments on top of people who say negative. Like, we all be like, oh, and everyone's like, no, but that doesn't help.
No.
Right?
And I'm so steadfast and strong in this belief, and the better and healthier my mind gets, the more I believe it is. Nobody else can help you love your body except for you. Mm-hmm. No, your partner can't, your parents can't, your therapist can't. There was like this quote that I kept on my wall in college that really helped me whenever I was like feeling the itch to not eat or to throw up. It was, hating your body won't make you love it, or like hating yourself won't make you love yourself, mm-hmm. or disrespecting your body won't make you love it. But it was pretty much just being unhappy won't make you happy. And I don't know. It's just really hard. It's just, I mean, it's always going to be a struggle for me in the gym as a woman to put in all this work and not have I don't really even know what the physique that I want means, because
if you could just snap your fingers, not to interrupt, and like get one of your friends' physiques, like, would you though?
Maybe not one of my friends, but like someone.
Shout out to your friends.
Shout out to my friends. No, I love, that's so horrible. They're all amazing and beautiful.
Them.
No, they're like, honestly, maybe yes.
Are you talking like bodybuilder?
But would it
the
take
type
away?
Of stuff you see in
No.
Like the extreme.
No. Like
abs down to like on your dick type
no,
of
no,
like.
No, not like that at all.
Shredded.
If I could have some of my friends' bodies and still do the things that I do in the gym, then yes, I would. But I can't be my best friend Alexis, who's literally 90 pounds and like the most beautiful human in the world. But I couldn't look like her and do what I do. But if I could look like her and...
See, this is the danger. So to play like quote off.
Obviously, gym, I'm still struggling with it every day, as you can fucking tell. But like, it's really hard. And I know that women feel this every day.
For sure.
Yeah.
Have you heard the quote, comparison is the thief of joy?
Yes.
So your friend sounds amazing.
I love her. Shout out to you, Alexis.
Shout out. But this is the danger about like, oh, what does that person think? What does that person think? What does that person think? And especially, and I love that you said like no one else can really do that, because I think we try to get so much validation from others. But let's say like, I don't know, one girlfriend says they like this about me. And I'm like, oh, that's right. And then we break up and then I do it. And someone else like, I like the other thing. You're like,
yeah,
I have no control of myself. And I'm now so dependable on others to essentially like lead me to feel a certain way about myself, you know? But instinctively, you say 90 pounds. And I'm just like, no, thank you. Yeah. As just like a dude, I think a lot of people in society want to be validated by like their romantic partners or interests. You go to the bar, you're like, that person fine. Like, yes, I'm doing well. And I'm like,
it's all external validation. It all comes down to external validation. And I wouldn't have a problem.
But that's not attracted to me, because I know, like you said, the hard work that goes into just working hard and doing hard things.
Yeah.
Sometimes we'll transform our body certain ways, and like that is part of it. But we can also like do some other things. Like part of the cycle has a little more bodybuilding in it, like 10 by 10, the German volume training, mm-hmm. right? Like that's going to change some physiques.
Yeah.
And I just hope people are like excited and proud of that, and it's going to look a little different on everyone. It's not like copy and paste.
Yeah.
That's not what happens. Like we all have quads, but they can be shaped a little differently based on like recovery and growth rate and body disposition and genetic and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I also think this is like a never ending thing, like this I heard on the podcast and I really liked it. It was specifically towards grief, but I think the general idea you'll understand. Pardon my slur there. Essentially he said, grief is like a rock in your pocket. And for a while, you notice it's there. It's heavy. You feel it. But over time, it doesn't get lighter. It's still there. It's the same thing. You adapt to it. You evolve. You get stronger. Mm-hmm. You are kind of like, yeah, it's there. But like you don't even feel the weight of it anymore. And so I think it's one of those like, time is a real bitch because you can't speed it up when you want to or slow mm-hmm. down when you want to. When you're in the thick of a feeling or moment, That's why sometimes, like, if Luna's having a bad day, I was like, go to bed. It's the quickest thing we have to time travel. Just get out of your head and just like shut it down. You'll feel different. Like feelings, they shift differently. And so if you can kind of take that step by step, like, hey, I had a victory today in the gym. And then whatever little exposure you do, like I'm going to not wear that shirt. I'm going to like now do a smaller shirt. What I would just say, what is that? Maybe a similar equivalent that you could do on the outside world for the other 23 hours.
Yeah.
And it's a small little thing.
Yeah.
But like every single day, I'm like, oh, maybe I should work on that because I'm not as good at that skill. Oh, I should work at that. Like I feel like I see a little bit of, you know, my Sour Patch Kid and my pec, you know, I'm like, oh, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you kind of, a lot of this also, again, like not a doctor, not a therapist. So this is just kind of my own experiences and conversations with clients and things you always kind of read about in these books and from other actual professionals, you know, but a lot of it is like that self-esteem, like that relationship with yourself.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of it is the relationships, like how are you raised without even knowing you were given the tools or not the tools to handle these things.
Yeah.
In CrossFit, there's this sickness, wellness, fitness continuum. And a lot of it has different metrics. Like if you're triglycerides and cholesterol and your body fat percentage and you're this and you're that, then you kind of fall somewhere on the spectrum there, right? It's really cool. Sarah, I saw this on another podcast and I kind of mentally bookmarked it. And Sarah's like, did you see this? And I was like, it's funny you mentioned that. And so long and short, there's now something that's, what was her name? Dr. Christina Migliara. Sorry if I like butchered that. She's, I think, either founder or co-founder of something called Mental Fit. And a lot of it, and they actually just got accepted through CrossFit for continual education units. So like a certain level, like certain credit, what are they called? What do I have? Level 3 certifications, pardon me, as I'm like brain farting here, require certain level of continuing education to hold that. And when you get a certain level, like level 3 or 4, you need to hold that. So you need to do certain courses. But a lot of it out there is like, you know, Olympic lifting, gymnastics. It's these very tangible things you can touch and do and like, yay, I got it. But mental health is such a very like, whoa, how do I tread waters here? So it's very often left untouched. But that's like a huge fucking driving force. And she was essentially saying there's a similar continuum there of kind of like sickness, wellness, and mental fit and different things there in different relationships. And I find it very interesting. I want to actually take this seminar now and this course, and it even involves like a conversation, like a one-on-one to actually like, because a lot of it's like module stuff, but then it's like, I want to actually talk to this person about it because I think it'd be very interesting and very important, especially as coaches from the coach's side, because the amount of people who have like highs and lows in the gym, the amount of people I've walked outside when they're crying, be like, are you okay? Like people go through real stuff. Not everything is like a 7 double under PR.
Yeah.
Like even in the gym home, you can kind of have some lows, but they're so like entangled. It's like constant Christmas lights of knots. Like there's never this like, oh, it's all fixed now.
Yeah.
I'm physically and mentally perfect.
Yeah.
But I think we just need to kind of take acceptance and acknowledgments of these day-to-day wins as best we can. Because I think one of your questions kind of like seemed to have this like, how did mental and physical health kind of tie in? She used this metaphor she absolutely loved because I'm a sucker for a visual. So this is absolutely me stealing it from her. And I don't know if she stole it from someone else, but I liked it a lot. There's like this small little beach ball, you know, and like almost like colored in like orange slices, like north to south. It was like, you know, like a normal beach ball you'd throw around a festival or I don't know, like a beach.
A beach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the purpose was like you write different like of your kind of traumas or experiences on there that kind of still seem to be giving you issues. And the whole metaphor was a lot of people, like we all have this little beach ball, our life experiences, our traumas, our emotions, our everything. And the more we use our energy to like push it down, what happens when you push anything like that underwater? It just wants to like eventually explode back to the surface and make this huge splash. And so a lot of it is the idea of like, if we can take step by step to work on understanding these experiences and emotions and like, why am I even being triggered by this? Then we will have less and less of these random little, in the moment, like arbitrary triggers that are exploding this huge, bigger iceberg under the tip kind of visual. and we'll have an easier time controlling that ball to the surface. And so I think a lot of it's also like it's facing these things head on. I think a lot of us, we try to avoid this stuff. Either out of just like discomfort, feels like a woo-woo topic, whatever it is. But like we need to have more of an acceptance and comfort to acknowledge that like we're humans and we have feelings, we have all this stuff. Not necessarily use them as like justifications to do other bad shit or, you know, excuse bad behavior, but like draw awareness to that. So I think the mere fact you said that was the worst 6 years, to me that implies like you're not currently also in your worst 6 years, that you've made growth from that.
Yeah.
And I think we want this immediate change just in life. I want to now not have this issue. I want to now not have a chronic disease. I want to now have my PR, like whatever it is, we want it now. Because the effort in the moment feels so big compared to the small return that we get.
Yeah.
But it's just, you know, like one marble in the jar at a time.
Yeah.
And it's that discipline of consistency. In fact, I feel like you had a question about consistency. Maybe.
Oh, I don't remember.
It was, how do you think consistency and routine play into our mental and physical health?
Yeah, I think, I mean, it's been so many years now that I've been struggling with this, still struggle to this day. But like you said, I'm not in the same place I was 6 years ago. And like you said, with the beach ball thing, I spent so many years just looking for an immediate fix, looking for how can I solve this problem in 1 month? How can I solve this problem in 1 week? I have a dance or I have a date in 2 weeks. How little can I eat? How small can I get? How much can I shrink in that amount of time? But so much work, so much mental and slow work, just like you were saying, rather than ignoring it and pretending that it wasn't a problem. I've spent so much time thinking about, why do I feel this way about myself? Why do I feel this way about my body? Why am I trying to fix these things? Why am I going about it in this specific way? And I think that every year that passes or every month that passes, I get a little bit better at like telling myself that I convincing myself and really truly believing that I'm proud of the way that I look because I am proud of how hard that I work and what I can do.
Yeah.
And I think the older, it obviously you just have control mentally about you have more control when you're older mentally, and I also just feel like you start giving less of a shit.
I will tell you right now, if there's any light at the end of the tunnel from my personal experience that only I can speak to, like I'm 38, so I would not say like I'm old. I'm older than you. Like it gets better.
Yeah.
With certain maturity and growth, but not just because like your body aged a day. Like you gotta put work in. You know, like I think people try to desperately avoid sitting in silence and just focusing on themselves. It's so hard to reflect inward. There's a quote I heard, and I was actually from the same doctor I really like. She was crushing it in this podcast. It was, people at war with themselves find quiet noisy. Yeah.
That's why we always have AirPods in or listening to a podcast or are consuming a show, is because it's just so hard to sit with your own thoughts. I think
the more you can chip away at that, though, you can get to these end destinations. I mean, that's the unfortunate irony, is that we always want X, Y, and Z, and pretty much every action we do to get there actually like slows and detours us from actually getting there, because it's usually it's counterproductive or something of that nature. But I do think consistency is one of the more, maybe in my opinion, the number one thing people fail at that slows all their progression down. This whole idea, I don't know why I did this math earlier, but we're talking about food. And I'm wanting to live to 100 plus. So let's just say I have 60 more years. Times that for like 5 meals a day, for all that. It was just shy of 110,000 more meals I'm going to have. That's a lot of choices and a lot of like discipline to have. And so the idea of I'm going to nail it every time, I already like, you got to free yourself of that burden.
Yeah.
Like I'd had a bag of watermelon Sour Patch Kids on Saturday, and like, it's just like weekly I would say I have some type of candy, like a bag of it. And I like, I had 2, and I like cut one in half and saved it. It's like, no, I like inhaled it.
I would think about that for like the next 2 weeks if I had an entire bag of candy.
Yeah, and so I'll tell you, I'm at the point that I don't anymore.
Yeah, that's so good for you.
But
I'm so happy for you.
Meaning not like, oh man, I'm crushing it, you're failing, but it's just like, I think once I realized like, oh my gosh, I don't do that every day. One meal does not have this crazy impact if it doesn't snowball to multiple meals in a row. I know I'm not scared of hard work. I was fortunate enough to be raised in a good food home because of like my mom. There's these things that obviously play a factor based on how just multiple individual factors in our life. Like my mom cooking is different than yours, and the way I handle things is different than you, and yada yada. I think I've had more time to like bounce off the walls with different dieting fads, different injuries, different this and that. I think I've kind of like I'm in the center lane now, kind of smoothly. I'm not bumping off like the side rails anymore. You probably feel like you're maybe in the getting better. Sounds like, but like kind of in the midst of like that. Maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, for me, it's less trying to figure out what works and more just trying to let it not be all consuming.
And I think that's one of the probably I would imagine one of the descriptors of like having a healthy mentality is like you're this is not this obsessive control thing. You got to let yourself essentially like breathe and like let it air out for a second. And I think once I realized, oh, I didn't see anything physically change. Okay, I'm allowed to have a little bit of like the release valve with a Sour Patch Kid because I know I'm going to want to have a good breakfast. And I know I actually feel better when I don't do X, Y, and Z. I think once I started to realize I physically listen to my body, like I sleep better, I feel better, my skin seems to be reacting better. I was like, why don't I deserve that? Like you wouldn't want to stay, like we are a relationship with ourselves. I think we only see relationships with like us and other things or ones, but we're almost arguably the most important relationship. Like I'm always talking to myself. So if all my words are negative, like if you're in an abusive relationship or your friend was, you'd say, get the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
So something that kind of willpower and strength to be like, I'm out. You treat me bad.
Yeah.
We got to have with ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's usually one slow conversation at a time.
Yeah.
You know? Like we usually don't just say fucking get out of a relationship. We kind of say like, please don't do this, or like let's work through this. Like same thing, like work with it. And again, like this is just how I've kind of helped myself out. And some clients who've talked to me based on exercises we've done. I'm not a professional. This is by no means what this talk or podcast is about. It's just more of like the things that help me kind of like center myself and find that certain happiness. And that's a whole different topic. I think a lot of people confuse happiness and pleasure and they seek that stuff out. And a lot of it's usually like vices. It's like, I'm content with myself. I don't know what the highest high I could feel about myself is. Like, I'm so fucking mentally happy and healthy and I'm so good looking right. Like, I don't know what that peak is, but I know it's better than it's been in the past. Yeah. And that has to mean something to allow me to keep going with the methods I'm doing right now.
Yeah. I think that I've been in fight or flight mode with my body for so long that I don't even really remember what it feels like to like be content. But it's gotten so much better since slowing down and really, really thinking about what I'm allowing my brain to think about myself. But it's an exhausting feeling to think that, oh my gosh, am I going to feel this way for the rest of my life? But what I try to tell myself, and what I would say to all the CrossFit girlies out there that feel the same way, is I'm going to look back at my body now, when I was in high school, when I was in college. Every year I'm going to look back at my body and be like, wow, I can't believe I thought that about myself when I looked like that.
Remember how we used to dress? Every time you look back, like in the moment, I used to have like double pop collar polos. I'm like, why is not everyone attracted to me right now? This is so cool looking. And then I look back, I'm like, what the actual fuck was I doing? Like, the mindset we have now is not probably going to be what we have of ourselves in the future. And so there's, I mean, I know we got to sign off here in like 48 seconds, but something that kind of helped me a lot, especially with COVID, and that just exacerbated everything. Like, that's a whole different thing. But I read a lot of like stoicism books and like kind of these like self-help, I guess you can call them self-help, but just kind of like betterment, different ways to like view perspectives of the world outside yourself and on yourself. And I just recommended this book to someone else. Actually, it was from Ryan Holiday. I pretty much like anything he does. And it was called Obstacles the Way. And a lot of it was kind of knowing about how to perceive things that come at us and how to work through them and absorb them differently than just always being like, this is the worst thing ever, I'm the victim, so on and so on. But I think it's good to read and expose yourself to different things. It makes you think differently as well. It's not just like this is not like you do this one thing and it's going to fix everyone.
Mm-hmm.
This is such an individualized issue, which is why people go to therapy, which is why people listen to different podcasts on different special, why. And I think that doesn't hurt. But I think, like you said, at the end of the day, like, this is what I'll end on comparison wise is I think a lot of us think it's all just the physical in the gym. But at the end of the day, like, you can have the nicest car, the nicest plane, it's all working. If your driver is fucking insane, like, there's no point having this amazing thing if the driver, so our brain, is also off kilter. So I think, do not be afraid. I know it's a little icky and but work on the mindset just as much, if not more, than the body. Because I think we grossly overdo the physical things, and then, like, we get hurt or we wear down, or now it's like, great, my identity's in that, but I have like a torn knee or I'm injured, and now I never dealt with my mental demons, so now I'm really fucked. And just work a little bit at a time, like, that's all we can do, right?
Yeah, man.
How do you think we did?
I don't know.
It's heavy. It's big.
Yeah, I don't know.
I super appreciate you.
I don't
though.
know. Yeah, I appreciate you. I feel like that was very. I feel like I didn't really get to a resolution there, but I'm like better. But I
don't
feel
know if
like
there is one. I mean,
I feel like I didn't really come off as better. I feel like I just came off as like doing really bad. But
I will
I'm better. I'm doing better now, guys. I promise.
You're crushing it, because all the private conversations you and I have.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely crushing it. I'm super proud of you. And
I'm
I
proud
think
of you.
Thanks. I just think, like, this is definitely, even if it's like one person, which I bet it's more, someone's listening to this and be like, wow, like that's exactly what I went through, or that's what I'm going through, or like, never thought about it that way, or just like the bravery in that,
Thanks, man.
Yeah. Knuckles,
bro.
good job. I think that's a dub.
It's a dub.
Is that what they say?
Dub in the chat.
Cool.
Say
All
the
right.
house down.
Well, remember, guys, fitness is neat. Come to the gym.
So is food.
So is food. So is just like mental awareness and health.
Yeah.
Do it all.
Woo.
Yeah. Just work on you.
Work on things.
And just take the small step win. That's all we can do.
Yeah.
All right. Have a good day, and we'll see you in the gym or on the Sugar Wad leaderboard with fist bumps and happy comments.
Bye.
Bye.